In today's episode of Raiders All 22, we look at the tape for the defense from the Week 4 game in Indianapolis. Now, the prior week, the Raiders defense had gotten badly gashed by the Vikings in the passing game, where they made multiple deep throws on our safeties and built up a significant lead. And then in the second half, the Vikings ran the ball down the Raiders' throat. So coming into Indy, the Raiders defense really had something to prove. And I was very thankful to see that the Raiders defense really stepped up at all three levels. So one of the big changes in personnel was to start Erik Harris at safety over Curtis Riley, which was a great call, especially with the amazing game that Erik Harris had. And you can see there on this initial deep ball from Brissett that both Raiders safeties were not going to get beat over the top like we were in Minnesota. And you can see Karl Joseph actually gets his hand on the ball, but even if he didn't, Erik Harris is there. He would have knocked down the arm of the receiver there, Paris Campbell. So let's take a look at Erik Harris's play. He's a pretty big safety. He's like around 225 pounds, so 35 pounds heavier than Curtis Riley, but with still pretty good speed and good instincts and ability to hit. Like right there, Harris is watching the quarterback, and he lays a pretty hard blow on that back who is running a shallow crossing route. Harris made what was arguably the biggest play of the defense so far by picking off Brissett late in the game and then taking it to the house for a pick six. What was really great about this particular play is Harris was watching, he's in zone coverage, and you'll see from the end zone cam, he's watching Brissett the whole way. Brissett's looking left, and so Harris jumps the route and then finishes the play. And this gave us the breathing room at this point that put us up 14 points and pretty much sealed the game. Although Harris did make a mistake on a late drive where right here he's in position to make the tackle on the tight end Ebron, but instead Harris tries to play the ball, go for the pick. He got a bit greedy and even said after the game it was a mistake and it's something that he learned from. He wouldn't do it again. I love the level of accountability that Harris showed. And Gruden's been saying since he got here in 2018 how much he really likes Harris, and Harris really flashed on tape. So here you can see somehow this runner got to the edge of the Raiders defense, but Harris quickly closes, blows up the blocking wide receiver, and then takes the runner down to prevent the touchdown. The other safety, Karl Joseph, also had a really good game, and he seems to be most effective when he's playing close to the line of scrimmage. He's great at knifing through, like he defeats the block of the wide receiver to get in there and make the stop in the backfield. And he seems to do better in coverage when he is head up facing the quarterback and playing in zone coverage. Now, I originally thought when we drafted Jonathan Abram that it might be wise to move Karl Joseph over to free safety, since Abram is also a really big hitter. But watching this tape, I've come to realize, like in this play here, Joseph is going to play the robber since Harris has got the deep coverage, and you're going to see Joseph read the route by the receiver and come over and deliver a really fantastic form tackle. Wrapping him up, hitting him low in the legs, and making sure that receiver can't pick up any yards after the reception. Marcus Joyner also had a pretty good game in Indianapolis. This coverage here, I wasn't terribly thrilled with what we did at the snap of the ball because they had three receiving threats lined up on the left side of the offense, and we were playing off coverage, including having the tight end uncovered, which made me really nervous, although Perfect came over. But the main thing is, because our guys were sitting in zone coverage, Joyner was able to see the ball being thrown, and he was able to get in there for a pass broken up. And this is an awesome play here. So Joyner had followed the guy who was in motion, so making it look like this is man coverage, but what he does is actually sneak into the backfield right after the snap of the ball and take down Marlon Mack for a big tackle for loss. And remember that Marlon Mack, dating back into the middle of the 2018 season, had been super hot, and the Raiders defense came in here and limited him to 35 yards on 10 carries, and moreover knocked him out of the game. We were very physical, and here's another great play by Joyner. He recognizes the wide receiver screen immediately and is able to blow up his block and get around to the left, and Worley also read the play and came up on the right, so the receiver had absolutely nowhere to go. It's a great play by both of those defensive backs. So let's talk about Worley, he's also played really well in the Indy and in the Chicago games, and Gruden gave him some major props. And here you're going to see a great example in coverage. The good clothing speed right there, knocking down the ball right when it's getting to the receiver without, grabbing him or committing pass interference. Gary and Conley also played a solid game in Indy. He's been criticized at times for not being physical enough, but here you can see he defeats the stiff arm by Marlon Mack and makes the tackle. And if he doesn't make that tackle, there's a lot of green in front of that running back. And then here's another nice play by Conley. He noticed the ball's being thrown to the receiver coming out of the backfield, and on a critical third down, forces the field goal unit on for Indianapolis. And this happened several times when the defense was, had their back, to the wall. They were able to make plays and either, hold Indianapolis to field goals or, get a turnover. So this is a great example here. This is toward the end of the second half. We're going to look at the linebacker play by Morrow, and he makes a clean tackle in the open field. And a couple plays later, Vinatieri misses a very long 57-yard field goal attempt. And it was important for Morrow to play well, especially since Burfict got ejected. So here you're going to see Morrow at the weak side linebacker spot come and crash down the line and tackle Mack for a loss. This is one of my favorite hits of the game. Morrow's going to drop back into zone coverage here, and he's going to see the receiver running the crossing route and just absolutely he decleats him, and the receiver had a hard time getting him. That was a nasty hit, form hit, all shoulder, wrapped up around the legs. Great stuff. So let's take a look at the defensive linemen. So Maxx Crosby had a monster game, and this right here was the forced fumble that he had, and the Colts at that point were driving, and so he totally, there's such a beautiful punch out of the ball, great hustle by him downfield. And for Crosby, this was a game where he had the most sacks of the, most snaps of the year, and he was extremely productive with them. So Crosby typically rushes from the left defensive end position, although he occasionally will flop over the right. This is a really nice play. He's coming over on a stunt, gets pretty close to the quarterback, but knows he's not going to be able to get in there for the sack, so he's watching the quarterback, gets his arm up, and deflects the pass. Here's another pass deflection that he gets. Again, kind of running a stunt and watching the quarterback and getting another pass deflection there. Crosby also showed a good ability to rush the passer. So here he's going to run a stunt, and right here, so he's lateral with the right guard. So he's got him beat, but the question is he going to be able to bend and turn the corner to get the quarterback? And the answer is yes. He actually turns a really sharp angle, and he and Hurst end up sandwiching the quarterback and forcing an incompletion. But right here, look at that bend and coming around the corner. And Maxx Crosby was regarded as an elite athlete coming out of college. But he was very light. He played around 240, very lanky. He's since bulked up into the mid-260s, and it looks like he's gained some good functional strength. So watch this right here. The tight end's trying to block him out so that the running back has a lane. Crosby's going to take him, toss him aside, and make the tackle in the hole. And this was on a 3rd and 2, so this forced a punt. A fantastic show of technique and strength by Maxx Crosby. And these are really encouraging signs to see from the rookie. Good awareness. He can play the run, which was unexpected. Definitely has the athletic ability to rush the passer. Now this is Hankins. He's lined up in the B gap, and on this play, he's going to initially look like he's going inside, and then actually change directions to get to the quarterback and lay the pressure and the hit. Really nice double move. Tries to go inside, comes back outside. Hankins is a really strong guy. It's nice to see him getting some good pressure there. We've also continued to see a lot of really good disruptive play by PJ Hall. So here he's lined up in the A gap, and he just bull rushes the center and tackles the running back for loss. He did this in Indy, and then in the subsequent week in Chicago, he's really flashing on tape. And then Josh Morrow had a play very similar to a tackle for loss that he had in the first game of the year against Denver, and Cleveland Farrell was also there holding the edge and ready to make the tackle. Now, Corey Liuget is a guy, when we signed him, when he made the roster, I was really disappointed. Actually, I wanted undrafted rookie free agent Anthony Rush to make the roster. But we added Liuget, we made him active starting in Indy, and he's been really productive in a limited number of snaps. So you can see on this play here, he defeated a double team block shed one of the blockers and then made the tackle. So it turns out, Legit, we weren't sure if he was going to be healthy, but he's been playing really well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your feedback. I'm continuing to refine the way that I do the editing, so please keep giving me the feedback. It's been really helpful, and I hope you guys are pumped for the game in Green Bay. Take care.